It was never meant to become a story people would replay again and again, but Ginny and Jayna's bond unfolded in a way that made it impossible to ignore. Not because they tried to show it, but because they never tried to hide it either. What people saw felt unfiltered, unfinished, and real, and that was exactly why it stayed with them. Long before fans started naming moments or compiling clips, there were already patterns forming. Ginny had a way of entering rooms with energy, emotion written clearly on her face. Jayna entered differently, calm, observant, quietly aware of everything happening around her. When they were together, something shifted. Ginny softened. Jayna warmed. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, like two rhythms slowly syncing without effort. One of the earliest moments fans still talk about happened during a long filming day. Everyone was tired. The atmosphere was quiet, drained. Ginny sat off to the side, scrolling absent-mindedly, her smile gone. Jayna walked over without saying a word and sat beside her. No cameras were focused on them. No audience. Jayna leaned slightly closer and rested her elbow on her knee, mirroring Ginny's posture. Minutes passed in silence. Then Ginny sighed, put her phone down, and leaned her head briefly against Jayna's shoulder. It lasted only seconds, but it said everything. What struck people later, when the clip surfaced, was how natural it looked. There was no hesitation. No checking to see who was watching. Just trust. As time went on, moments like that multiplied. Jayna remembering small details about Ginny that others overlooked. The way Ginny liked her coffee. The song that always calmed her nerves. The joke that could pull a laugh out of her even on the hardest days. Jayna never announced these things. She just acted on them. Ginny, in return, became Jayna's loudest quiet supporter. She listened closely whenever Jayna spoke, even when the conversation wasn't meant for her. During interviews, Ginny would glance at Jayna before answering questions, as if grounding herself. When Jayna succeeded, Ginny celebrated openly, pride shining in her eyes without envy or comparison. Fans began noticing how their bodies naturally oriented toward each other. In group settings, they stood closer than necessary. When separated, they searched for each other with quick glances. When reunited, they relaxed again. It wasn't staged. It wasn't calculated. It was muscle memory. There was a moment during a public event when Ginny's voice cracked unexpectedly while speaking. The room went quiet. For a split second, Ginny froze, emotions threatening to spill over. Jayna didn't move dramatically. She simply stepped closer and placed her hand lightly at Ginny's back. Not gripping. Not pulling. Just there. Ginny took a breath and continued. Later, fans would say that hands saved the moment. That was the pattern with them. Jayna didn't fix Ginny. She steadied her. Ginny didn't spotlight Jayna. She made space for her. Behind the scenes, their bond deepened in ways that never made headlines. Late-night conversations when schedules finally slowed. Shared meals eaten quietly, phones ignored. Talks about fears neither shared easily with others. Ginny admitted she often felt overwhelmed by expectations, by the pressure to always appear okay. Jayna listened, never interrupting, never minimizing. She didn't offer empty reassurance. She offered understanding. Jayna, in turn, revealed how she sometimes felt invisible despite being present everywhere. How people assumed strength meant she didn't need support. Ginny responded the only way she knew how, by being there consistently, checking in, asking twice, sitting longer. Their relationship wasn't perfect. There were misunderstandings, moments of distance, times when stress created silence. But even then, fans noticed something important. They always found their way back to each other. Not through grand gestures, but through honesty. Through apologies whispered off camera. Through looks that said, "I still see you." One particular day became a turning point for many fans. During a break, Ginny became visibly emotional after receiving difficult news. She tried to excuse herself quietly, not wanting attention. Jayna noticed immediately. She followed without being asked. Cameras didn't catch what was said, but they caught the aftermath, Ginny returning calmer, eyes still red, Jayna walking beside her, protective but not possessive. After that, fans stopped questioning whether the bond was real. They knew. What makes Ginny and Jayna's story resonate so deeply is how relatable it feels. Their connection mirrors the kind of relationship many people long for, the one where you don't have to explain your exhaustion, where silence isn't awkward, where presence is enough. They never labeled what they were to each other, and that became part of the beauty. No definitions meant no limits. They were allowed to grow, to change, to exist without pressure. Even when rumors swirled, neither reacted defensively. They didn't feed speculation. They didn't deny affection. They simply continued being themselves. And that quiet confidence spoke louder than any statement could. Fans often say that watching Ginny and Jayna feels like witnessing something unfinished in the best way. A story still being written, not rushed toward an ending. Each moment adds a sentence. Each glance adds meaning. There's a reason people replay their clips late at night, searching for comfort in familiar gestures. A reason comments are filled with gratitude instead of demands. Ginny and Jayna represent something rare in the public eye, a bond that doesn't ask to be understood, only respected. They remind people that love, in its softest form, doesn't need an audience. It just needs consistency. And as long as Ginny keeps reaching for Jayna without thinking, and Jayna keeps showing up without being asked, their story will continue. Quietly, gently, and deeply, exactly the way it began. As time moved forward, something else became clear to everyone watching closely. Ginny and Jayna weren't just sharing moments, they were building a rhythm together. The kind that doesn't rely on constant closeness, but on certainty. Even when they weren't side by side, there was an invisible thread connecting them. During periods when their schedules pulled them in different directions, fans noticed small but telling signs. A message liked within seconds. A photo posted at the exact moment the other was offline. Subtle references in interviews that only made sense if you knew what to listen for. Jayna once mentioned finding comfort in someone who understands without asking questions, and Ginny, days later, spoke about how quiet support matters more than loud promises. No names were said. None were needed. When they reunited after time apart, the change was always visible. Ginny became lighter, more grounded. Jayna smiled more freely, her guarded edges softening. There was one reunion caught briefly by a backstage camera, Ginny walking in, spotting Jayna across the room, stopping mid-step as if she'd forgotten where she was. Jayna looked up, their eyes met, and both smiled at the same time. That moment never went viral for dramatic reasons. It went viral because it felt like relief. People started describing their bond as safe, not exciting in a chaotic way, but steady in a way that lasts. And that steadiness showed most when things went wrong. During one particularly stressful project, Ginny faced harsh criticism online. The pressure built quietly until it showed in her posture, her voice losing some of its usual brightness. Jayna never addressed it publicly. Instead, she adjusted privately, walking Ginny to her car, sitting with her longer than usual, making sure she ate, making sure she slept. Ginny later posted a simple photo of 2 cups of tea on a table, captioned with a single word, enough. Fans understood immediately. Jayna, too, had moments when she withdrew, when expectations weighed heavily and silence became her shield. Ginny learned to read those moments instinctively. She didn't push. She didn't demand explanations. She stayed nearby, filling the silence with normalcy, light conversation, shared laughter, gentle teasing. Slowly, Jayna always returned. What made their connection feel so genuine was that neither tried to be the other's solution. They didn't complete each other. They complemented each other. Ginny brought warmth where Jayna brought calm. Jayna brought clarity where Ginny brought emotion. Together, they created balance. Fans often point out how different they are, and yet how naturally they fit. Ginny expressive, wearing her heart close to the surface. Jayna reserved, thoughtful, deeply present. Where one reacted, the other absorbed. Where one burned bright, the other steadied the flame. Over time, their shared moments became less about surprise and more about expectation. People didn't ask anymore if Jayna would be there for Ginny, they assumed it. They didn't wonder if Ginny would defend Jayna, they knew she would. That kind of trust isn't built overnight. It's earned in quiet rooms, in difficult conversations, in choosing each other again and again without being asked. There was a moment during a live appearance when a fan asked what they valued most in the people around them. Ginny answered first, saying she appreciated someone who stays when things aren't easy. Jayna answered moments later, saying she valued someone who makes space for emotions instead of fixing them. The audience reacted softly, sensing the connection without having it explained. Even now, what keeps people invested in Ginny and Jayna isn't the possibility of a label, but the authenticity of their presence. They show that affection doesn't need to be loud to be meaningful. That support doesn't need to be announced to be felt. Their story continues not through dramatic reveals, but through continuity. Through showing up. Through choosing kindness over performance. Through being gentle in a world that often rewards noise. And perhaps that's why their bond feels so powerful. Because it reminds people of the kind of connection that exists beyond screens and speculation, the kind that stays when the cameras are gone, when the room is quiet, and when all that's left is two people who understand each other deeply, without needing to say a word.